Welcome to BikeBeat. The 2025 BMW F850 GS is one of those machines that demands attention the moment you see it roll by. It isn't the biggest GS in the lineup, but it carries the same DNA, the same aggressive stance, and the same promise of adventure. This motorcycle sits right at that sweet spot between being approachable enough for newer adventure riders and still potent enough to satisfy seasoned explorers who want a machine that can go anywhere, anytime. For BikeBeat today, we're going deep into this bike, what makes it special, how it rides, what you get for your money, and whether it's worth adding to your stable. At the heart of the F850 GS is an 853 cubic centimeters liquid-cooled parallel twin engine. This power plant produces around 95 horsepower and 92 Nm of torque at about 6,250 revolutions per minute, which gives the bike a meaty mid-range and strong pull whether you're passing traffic on a highway or climbing steep trails. The motor uses twin overhead cams and 4 valves per cylinder, along with dual balancer shafts, which means vibration is kept surprisingly low even when you're running in higher revs. There's a smoothness here that you don't always find in middleweight adventure bikes, and it makes a big difference when you're racking up long miles. BMW has tuned the gearbox smartly, with shorter ratios in the first 3 gears for quick response in technical or city riding, and longer higher gears that let the bike cruise at 120 to 140 km per hour without feeling stressed. The clutch is a wet multiplate unit, engaging predictably, and power goes to the back wheel via a low-maintenance O-ring chain. Some riders might wish for a shaft drive like the bigger GS models, but the chain keeps the weight lower and maintenance simple on the trail. The chassis is built around a welded steel monocoque frame that uses the engine as a stressed member. This helps stiffen the whole structure and improves handling while keeping weight centralized. Up front there's a 43 mm upside-down fork with about 230 mm of travel, while the rear has a cast aluminum dual swing arm with a central spring strut that gives about 215 mm of movement. That's plenty of travel for soaking up rocks, potholes, and washboard surfaces, but still controlled enough for sharp cornering on tarmac. Stopping power comes from twin 305 mm floating discs with 2 piston calipers at the front and a 265 mm disc at the rear, tied into BMW's ABS system. More advanced trims include ABS Pro, which works even while leaned over, and dynamic traction control that prevents the rear wheel from slipping out unexpectedly on loose ground. The bike carries a 15-liter fuel tank in standard form, though an adventure variant can push that up to around 23 or 24 liters, making it a better long-distance companion. Depending on how and where you ride, fuel consumption can be as low as 3.8 liters per 100 kilometers on the open road or closer to 5.8 liters in the city. With the standard tank, you'll still manage a solid range between fill-ups, though touring riders might lean toward the adventure version. Seat height sits at about 860 mm, which can be a stretch for shorter riders, but BMW does offer lower seat and suspension options. The curb weight is about 233 kilograms, manageable for a middleweight adventure bike, though it does take a bit of strength to maneuver at low speeds or when picking it up off a trail. Once moving, however, the balance and weight distribution make it feel far lighter than the scale suggests. From a design standpoint, the F850 GS carries the unmistakable GS beak and aggressive lines that shout adventure even when parked. It runs on cross-spoke tubeless wheels, 21 inches at the front and 17 at the rear, which give it both road manners and off-road ruggedness. Full LED lighting front and back, with that signature asymmetrical headlamp design, ensures you're visible and gives the bike its modern GS face. The cockpit is dominated by a crisp 6.5-inch TFT display that ties seamlessly with your smartphone via Bluetooth, offering navigation, music, calls, and ride data at a glance. Adjustable levers, an onboard computer, multiple ride modes like road, rain, and off-road, and even USB charging ports make the cockpit practical and rider-focused. Optional extras like cruise control, heated grips, and keyless ignition are available, allowing you to tailor the bike to your needs. Ergonomically, the bike puts you in an upright and commanding position. The handlebars are wide enough for off-road leverage, the seat gives long ride comfort, and when you stand on the pegs the bike feels natural, letting you shift your weight smoothly over the tank. The windscreen and handguards keep most of the blast away at highway speed, and the design keeps frontal areas relatively slim to reduce bulk off-road. BMW usually offers a range of color options like triple black, rally, or racing red, so you can go for stealth, sport, or classic adventure looks. On the road, the F850 GS feels planted and predictable. The suspension strikes a great balance between comfort and precision, taking bumps in stride while keeping the bike stable in fast sweepers. The mid-range punch makes overtakes effortless, and the tall gearing means long highway rides don't fatigue the engine or the rider. In tight corners, the bike responds quickly enough to surprise you given its adventure focus, allowing some spirited riding on mountain passes. Off-road is where the GS legacy shines. On gravel tracks, forest roads, or sandy trails, the 21-inch front wheel glides over obstacles and the suspension has the travel to deal with ruts and rocks. Electronic aids like traction control and ABS can be adjusted or disabled depending on how much control you want. For moderate trails and adventure travel, the F850 GS has all the capability most riders will ever need. It won't match a dedicated enduro bike in extreme terrain, but for an adventure bike that has to be equally happy on highways and dirt, it nails the compromise. There are unique points that make this bike stand out in the crowded middleweight adventure class. It offers a near-perfect balance between size and capability, powerful enough for long rides yet approachable enough for newer riders. The engine is refined and smoother than many competitors. The electronics suite is advanced for the category, with features like cornering ABS, TFT connectivity, and multiple ride modes that make it feel premium. The customization potential is vast, with different seat heights, suspension kits, and touring accessories. Add BMW's global service network and GS heritage, and you're looking at a bike that carries serious brand credibility. Of course, no motorcycle is without compromises. The seat height can be intimidating. The 15-liter standard fuel tank may limit range for riders tackling cross-country routes without fuel stops. Maintenance and servicing through BMW channels tend to be more expensive than average, and while the bike is capable off-road, it's not built for the most punishing trails. Optional electronics and comfort packages also add significantly to the base price. But these are trade-offs most buyers expect at this level, and for many riders the positives will easily outweigh them. When it comes to pricing, the 2025 BMW F850 GS starts at about $13,000 before taxes and import costs. In markets like India, previous models have sat between 12.9 and 13.7 lakh rupees ex-showroom, with final on-road pricing climbing higher. In Europe, past versions have started at around £10,600 sterling. Depending on your location, duties and dealer fees will push the number up, but globally it sits firmly in the premium middleweight adventure segment. It isn't cheap, but for the engineering, electronics, and brand reputation you're getting, many riders find it worth the investment. So after experiencing the 2025 BMW F850 GS on mountain passes, forest trails, highways, and city streets, the conclusion is clear: this is one of the most versatile adventure bikes in the world today. It has the power and poise to keep up on road trips, the ruggedness to explore trails, and the refinement to make daily use enjoyable. Thanks for watching BikeBeat's deep dive into the 2025 BMW F850 GS. If you enjoyed the ride, hit that like button, subscribe for more in-depth reviews, and tell us in the comments, where would you take this GS on your next adventure?